I do not want you using LinkedIn or Indeed or any big job board out there, because usually you're going to struggle if you're only using those for your remote job search. And I'm not saying it's impossible to find a remote job on there. No, I know some people who have found remote jobs out there, but they usually have something in common. They usually have been working remotely, or they're familiar with the remote job search, or they kind of know what they're doing in the remote job work environment. So whenever they're looking through jobs, they know exactly what seems legit and what seems like a scam. So especially if you are new at searching for remote jobs, or if you have never worked remotely, I want you to stay away from the big job boards. And yes, I'm talking Indeed, I'm talking LinkedIn, or any other of the big ones out there. I see a lot of people that tell me, I cannot find remote jobs. There are no legit remote jobs out there. Whenever I search, it's full of scams. Or I search and search and search, and nothing comes up. I don't like anything. They don't hire in my country, or they don't pay well. Okay, so if you haven't been looking in the right places, usually you're going to say things like that, because it's not that the opportunities aren't out there. Oh no, I know that there are. It's that you're looking in the wrong places. Okay, so if you're coming across a lot of companies that seem a little bit sketchy, or jobs that seem that they're like maybe too good to be true, that is usually a scam, or it's a sign that it is a scam. Okay, so we are going to be very careful with jobs that are like promising us a really good salary for like very easy work. So, for example, I've seen things like send an email, and for every email you get $50. Send 10 emails per day. Like, well, everyone can send an email. So what they're trying to do is that they're trying to reach as many people as they can to get them into whatever they're trying to do. Usually a scam. Usually they're going to be like, when we're talking about scams, they want either to get your personal information for something not good, or they want to get money out of you. Of course, that's the most common one. They will say things like, oh, you need to pay for your training or for your software, or give us $299 and we'll send you equipment, give us your address. Stop right there. Whenever you are getting asked for money in order to get hired, that's usually a sign that it's a scam. The remote jobs are like the real jobs. You never get asked to get paid to get hired for a regular job, right? It's the same thing in the remote work world. You shouldn't get asked for money for equipment, for like, they don't ask you money for uniforms whenever they're going to hire you. They just give you the uniform, right? So in a remote job, if they want you to do your job with a tool or a software or a program, they're going to give it to you. It's part of the job. Okay, that's not even a perk. That's just part of the job. So you should never pay in order to get hired for a remote job. Okay, if you're doing some sort of training that doesn't lead to actually being hired, that's something different. Okay, if you're trying to learn and try to up your skills and do all of that, that is very different. If a company, or an alleged company, because the real companies won't do that to you, if a company is telling you something like, okay, give us money and in exchange we'll give you a job, stop right there. If someone reaches out to you, that I see that happen a lot, like if someone reaches out to you on social media and they're like, just give us $200 and we'll get you a job in one day. No, we need to be realistic. The remote job search usually takes time. The whole process, from the moment that you apply to the first maybe screening, maybe sometimes they do some sort of test or assessment, then you have an interview, then you might have another one, and the whole process can take maybe 2 weeks to sometimes a month, I've seen. So if anyone promises you a job in like a day, 2 days, we'll hire you in a week, and there's no interview needed, if they're making it too easy for you, that is probably a sign that it is a scam. And I usually see things like that on big job boards because they're trying to reach as many people as possible. So the scammers go to these big job boards so they can get a lot of leads, and hopefully one of those people are going to be their next victim. So I definitely don't want you to fall victim to a scam whenever you're searching for remote jobs. I also don't want you to waste time. And the big job boards are usually a waste of time because they can be a little bit sometimes unclear about the what's needed or what they're offering, or they're just trying to hook you in, but then they actually won't give you all the perks. So for example, there are a lot of jobs out there that pretend to be a remote job with all the flexibility, like they pretend to be remote and that they'll allow you to work from anywhere and to maybe like even make your own schedules and things like that, that the companies will actually offer when they're legit and when they value their remote employees and when they're like remote first companies. Those are the kinds of companies that actually give you the most benefits and the most perks. Okay, so whenever they're trying to hook you with a word like remote but then they're not actually remote, okay, that happens a lot in the big job boards. So maybe they are hybrid. Hybrid means that they're like, half of the time you have to go to the office and half of the time maybe you can work from home. Or sometimes they say remote job and they try to get you to apply and then it's actually not a remote job but a work from home job, which is very different from a fully remote job or a job that's 100% remote, or a work from anywhere job that allows you to work while traveling or move somewhere else. A work from home job will literally just allow you to work from home. So maybe, and it can be for different reasons. I'm not saying work from home jobs are bad. No, there can be great work from home jobs. And actually, some people don't need a fully remote job. It all depends on what you need, your lifestyle, because maybe, I don't know, let's say you want a work from home job so that you can be at home and take care of your kids, or maybe you're someone's caregiver or caretaker. Then in that case, you might only need a work from home job, not a fully remote job that allows you to work from anywhere and travel. But if you do want the kind of super flexible job that allows you to work from anywhere and travel, you want to make sure that the remote job that you're applying for is actually remote and not work from home, okay? Because whenever you have a remote job, sure, you can still work from home. But whenever you have a work from home job, then they won't allow you to travel, right? Or to grab your laptop and go to a coffee shop or to go abroad. No, they won't allow that. So you need to be very careful with that distinction. And sometimes if you're looking in the right places, they are going to be very careful of actually, using the right keywords so that you don't get confused and so that, the expectations are clear. All right. So on the big job boards, a lot of people end up wasting a lot of time because they don't know, is this actually remote? Is this work from home? Is this hybrid? So you have to like sort through everything and see what's actually remote and what's not. All right. So that is another reason why I want you to be careful with the big job boards. Aside from the scams, it could be a case of like unclear expectations or even like false promises. So I don't want you to struggle with that. So what do we do instead? If we want a remote job and we want to make sure that we're looking for the best kinds of opportunities, the remote jobs that pay well, the remote jobs that are going to offer benefits, things like flexible schedules. If they maybe allow you to work from anywhere. A lot of remote jobs also offer all the benefits, the mandatory benefits from your country, like healthcare, PTO, the sick days, and parental leave. There are so many remote jobs and remote companies offering all those benefits and also extra perks like 4-day work weeks. How beautiful would that be? Or they would allow you to like have a day off on your birthday. I've seen that a few times. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Or they'll give you equipment. They'll give you a computer. They will invite you to retreats in a lot of companies that want to like make sure that, okay, everyone works remotely, but we want to also have like team bonding experiences. So that's also a thing in remote companies. Some of the legit remote companies, the remote first companies, they want to do that. And also, I speak a lot about remote first companies because those are technically the best kinds of companies to work for. And if you, for example, if you have two offers and one is a remote first company and one is just a remote company, of course you would go for the remote first company because they are going to have the best benefits, perks. They're going to value you more as an employee, and they are not going to have like team members in an office, because when that happens, usually they take care a little bit more of the team members at the office and not so much of the remote employees. So that's why it's cool to work for fully remote companies or remote first companies in which everyone is remote, right? So if you have two offers, one is remote first and one is not, sure, go for the remote first. But if you have an offer and you only have one and it's not a remote first company, by no means be like, oh, I don't want that because the only thing I want is a remote first, a job at a remote first company. Don't do that, especially if it's your first remote job, okay? So one is technically better than the other, but I do not want you to be like close-minded and close yourself off to opportunities in companies that are not remote first, okay? My first remote job years and years and years ago was not at a remote first company. We did have cool perks like, well, I did because I was the only remote employee for a while, for a long time. I was the first remote employee of that company. So they would allow me to work from anywhere, which was amazing. Of course, I didn't have a commute and none of that because I could work while traveling. But for example, I didn't have flexible schedules. So that wasn't great. But whenever you work from home, whenever you can work from home or work while traveling and they allow you to just be anywhere, that is already a huge perk because you're already not commuting. So I was already saving a bunch of time in like the time I would usually waste going to work. So for me, it was a great upgrade from what I was doing going to the office. And I know that most remote jobs can be a life upgrade for most people because just the idea of not having to be stuck in an office and being at home and using your bathroom and maybe being with your kids or your pets or the not having to commute thing is so huge because suddenly you have time for different things. All of that is great. So, okay, if it's your first remote job and it is not a remote first company, take it because you also need experience and you can get paid while learning new skills and new tools, and you can do all of that while gaining experience and getting paid. And I mean, just take that job. Okay, but I don't want you to go to the big job board. So instead, what we're going to do is find a list of remote companies, fully remote companies, remote first companies. I have a list of good ones that you can use. And I also have a remote job directory in which I post a lot of remote first companies and also companies that are offering really good benefits and perks. So you can go ahead and check it out. It's wantremotejobs.com, and I'll leave you the links in the description box. So you can go in there and check out those links if you need more help finding those remote jobs. But you're going to go to those kinds of companies and you're going to go to their career pages, okay? And in their career pages, sometimes they might have one position open, okay? But sometimes they might have 5. Some companies have like 20 open positions at all times. Some have less. But you're going to find all of those. And whenever you are searching for remote jobs, you are going to go to all these companies first and see what they have open. And remember, it can change from week to week. So bookmark them or have a list with the links and go to those career pages to find the opportunities that you want to apply for. And also, another thing that you can do, aside from going straight to the career pages, straight to the source, you can also go to directories that only post remote jobs. So it could be, remote job boards, or they might have different names. But yeah, if you go straight to those, those are going to be usually a lot more curated, and they're only going to post remote jobs. Usually those have, I mean, there might be a scam sometime somewhere, be careful and always do your research. But usually I don't see scams in the remote job directory. So it's a lot safer for you because you are not going to see scams, and also you are not going to waste time trying to decipher if it's a fully remote job or hybrid, or what is it. Okay, so number one, the career pages of fully remote companies. Number two, remote job boards. You can start with mine, wantremotejobs.com, or you can go to any of the other ones that are out there. I know there's a lot of good ones. I wouldn't recommend you paying for a remote job directory. Usually, the jobs that are in the paid remote job directories, you can also find in free remote job directories or directly in the career pages of the companies. So, no need to pay for a remote job board, okay? Don't waste your time on that. If you want to invest money in something that helps you in your remote job search and your career growth, maybe learn a skill, do a course, get your resume redone, or something like that that will actually help you get hired. Not Don't waste time, don't waste money in the paid remote job directories. Not necessary. Okay, so those are the places that I want you to go looking for remote jobs. You are going to have a lot better chances of finding legit remote jobs, and the remote jobs that pay well, and also the ones that offer benefits and all that. So now you know what to do. Okay, now you know what not to do. And also, I want you to make sure that whenever you're applying for these good remote jobs, the ones you actually want, the ones that I'm talking about, you are not like wasting your chances applying with an outdated resume, because that is one of the biggest mistakes I see people making. They see this great remote job and they probably have the qualifications and they have the skills to do it, but they apply with a resume that's outdated, okay, or a resume that is not compliant with the ATS. And that is basically when they do like the automatic screening. So a lot of people have this like fancy resumes with a bunch of photos and graphics and all that. That is not needed. You want to keep it as simple as possible so that you can get past the filters. So number one, make sure that your resume is remotified, which is basically that it's made specifically for a remote job. So you're mentioning things that are relevant to remote jobs, like your skills. For example, you're not mentioning like a yoga certification. You're just wasting space, because how is that needed in a remote work environment, for example, So remotify your resume and make sure it's easy, clean text, no graphics, so that you can apply and send your resume and actually get through to the first filters whenever a lot of companies are using that automated screenings or software to look through the applicants. Okay, so if you need help with your resume, I actually have a template inside of my Substack that you can go check out. And if you don't want to do it yourself, I can actually write it for you. So I worked in HR for years and I was hiring candidates remotely. So that is when I started learning a lot about what stands out when people are applying for remote jobs and what doesn't, and what mistakes people make. So I created the Remotify Your Resume formula. So you can either get the template in my Substack, or I can actually write your resume and your cover letter for you if you prefer that. Of course, that is a premium service that I offer. So you can do either the DIY option, or you can hire me to do your resume. I will leave links to everything in the description box. So go ahead and take advantage of my free resources like the remote job directory. And if you need more help, you can also take advantage of my other resources. Everything is linked below. And now you know what to do and what not to do. My name is Andrea Valeria. I am a remote work specialist, and I've been helping people get remote jobs since 2019 now. Okay, so if you need my help, go ahead and check out all the resources I have for you. Okay, ciao.